Before we get to the show, I'd like to thank our sponsors. The first one is TeamBuildr. Thank you, TeamBuildr, for sponsoring today's episode. TeamBuildr is the leading software for high schools and colleges by providing coaches the ability to write programs online, generate over 13 reports, and even train athletes remotely for side income. Right now, if you sign up with the code BIGTIME, you'll receive a free APRE programming template, which works automatically within TeamBuildr. No more spreadsheets and workout cards to track training maxes that change day by day. You can automate your programming without outsourcing your programming with TeamBuildr. It is an awesome software. The guys at TeamBuildr have it going on. Hewitt is an awesome resource for everybody that is a high school strength and conditioning coach. There's not enough great things I can say about TeamBuildr and everything that they're doing for coaches around the nation. Our second sponsor for today's show is PowerLift. PowerLift is the leading manufacturer and distributor of heavy-duty strength training equipment for collegiate and high school athletic performance centers around the world. PowerLift brings over 20 years of experience to the strength and conditioning world, and all the products are manufactured in the state-of-the-art manufacturing facility in Jefferson, Iowa. They are proud to support all coaches making it big time where they're at, and I cannot say enough great things about these two sponsors. PowerLift in general, from my college days to where I'm at now, PowerLift has been our rack. I'm telling you guys, there is not a more durable rack out there. If you go to Northwest Missouri State, you check out the racks there. They've had them probably for close to 15, 20 years now, and they still look like they're brand new. The racks that we have within our weight room, nice, pristine. It does not show wear and tear at all. And the thing about it is when you buy PowerLift, you are getting heavy duty. This stuff is rugged and it will last. And when you're looking for training equipment that's going to be used by multiple teams, multiple student athletes every single day, it's important to have the best. So thank you to our sponsors, TeamBuildr and PowerLift. Now let's get to our show. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Big Time Strength Podcast. Today I am excited to interview Coach Lee Weber. And Coach is close to 20 years of coaching. And, it's not just that he's doing strength and speed. He's also doing football. He's a track coach, and his love for learning, growing student athletes is pretty evident already. I also had the opportunity to listen to him at the Mid-America NHSSCA conference a couple years ago up in Minnesota. And man, it was apparent that he's passionate about what he does, wants to always improve, and I'm happy that he's here to help me improve and learn a little bit more and hopefully help you guys out too. So, Coach, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me on. This is like this checks the box for me. It's like bucket list, be on a podcast, and especially be on this podcast. So I'm really excited about it. Excited to talk to you.
That's cool, Coach. From my perspective, always awesome to have a coach that's been in the coaching industry for a long amount of time because I'm a fairly new coach. I want to learn kind of the secrets to longevity and hear about all the experiences that you've had. Let's start out with maybe your background here, where you've been at, and then also where you're at now.
Oh yeah, sure. So I guess to start with, I'm from a little school in Kansas. That's where I grew up, called Wheatland. That doesn't actually even exist anymore. I'm a graduate of Garden City Community College and Fort Hays State University. And so from Fort Hays State, I got my first job in high school level at Plainville High School. They were maybe somebody was, I guess, dumb enough to hire me to be the head football coach at 21 years old. And so I've never been an assistant football coach. I've always been a head football coach my entire career. And in Kansas, most of the time that comes with being the strength person or PE person. So throughout my whole career, I've been a head football coach and a PE teacher at each stop and had a lot more titles along the way. At Plainville, I was the head boys basketball coach, and head girls softball coach in all in 1 year. I've also been the athletic director there. I moved on to Mission Valley High School after 5 years. Was planning on spending almost my entire career at Mission Valley. I spent 7 years there as the head football coach, eventually became head track coach, and the also athletic director, taught 4 hours, did driver's ed, and so you start to see I piled up a lot of jobs, and I felt like I wasn't doing a great job with all of them. I got to the point where I was spread too thin, had like the longest week of my life, and so I really decided that I wanted to focus on what I really enjoyed the most, and that wasn't being an athletic director. It was being a football coach and a PE teacher and a track coach.
and coaching strength. And so I decided to do that. But the problem was I had a half-time job. And so I started to look around to make sure that I ensured that I had a full-time job, and found a great opportunity at a school in the same league. So I went to Council Grove, where I taught on trimesters, which is pretty interesting. And we were, got there, and I was the head football coach, became the head track coach, taught strength and conditioning for 2 years. Really enjoyed my time in Council Grove. Had a chance to get the head football job and teach gifted in strength teaching, or strength and conditioning at Wamego High School, which is my wife's hometown. And so that's the closest I'm ever going to get to going back home. And so we went there for 3 years, and unfortunately it just didn't work out for me. Just wasn't the right situation for my family and I. And so now we're at Rose Hill High School near Wichita, Kansas, and really just enjoy it. Enjoy the kids and enjoy the program. I've kind of had a rejuvenation of my career. I don't feel like I've been in this 20 years. I still feel 18 years old sometimes until I get out of bed in the morning. But I really enjoy our kids and our school, and it's been a great fit for me these last couple of years.
That's awesome stuff, Coach. And you talked about that rejuvenation. There's no doubt the excitement of getting to start a program or energize a program that's already been established. Can you tell us what it was like when you showed up at that school? You said you've been there 2 years now, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
awesome.
They had a really, I think, very knowledgeable strength guy, and a couple guys that are really interested in strength and conditioning that were in there. The girls basketball coach, he was handling the strength and conditioning, doing a fantastic job. And one of the social studies teachers ran the summer program. He was really into Louis Simmons and Westside Barbell. And that's great stuff. That's just not me. That's not my stuff. And so when I came in, obviously, there's going to be a switch. Whenever the new strength guy comes in, the head football guy comes in, there's going to be a change and shift in culture. And so what I'm more about is the hard work in the weight room. We're a tier system, Soviet periodization model, and I'm all about feed the cat, speed development, and we're working on being fast, and we're working on being more athletic, and my kids, I want them to leave happy and healthy every single day. And so I've learned more in the last 2 years and just trying to build our program from one that went 1-8 the year before I got there, and we went 1-8 my first year, up into one that can compete in what we think is the toughest league in every sport in the state of Kansas. So.
That's great, Coach. And maybe even keep on rolling here. What about the culture of your program? What does that look like for maybe an outsider that's going in and they're going to watch a few of your classes or see how student athletes are interacting with each other within your class?
Oh, yeah, sure. What I think you're going to see is just we're very highly organized, and our kids are active all the time. And I think one of the best measures of our program and our culture is when we get a new kid that comes in, just to see them come in and work with our kids. Because sometimes as we get into it, I forget how much work and how hard our kids work and the effort they're putting in until I see a kid that's not used to it come in, and they're just blown up at the end. And that's not really what we're trying to do, is blow the kids up. Our kids' work and their work capacity is so expanded from what we do, and their sense of urgency from the rack performance system we have them on, and everything that we're doing, and we're jumping from station to station. It's impressive to watch our kids. And then when I lose perspective on that, I see a new kid come in, and all of a sudden it's like, he's a little behind. I'm like, well, that's because our kids are working so hard. We had a Division I football player, an offensive tackle, move in who is a good athlete. And his first 2 weeks, it was pretty rough for him in our weight room because he was not used to working at the pace that our kids work at, and wasn't used to working at the intensity. We're about bar speed, and we're about speed on the track. Our walking track is where we do a lot of our running and our sprints, our short sprints. And he had some of the slowest times, and he's not a bad athlete, but our kids that we would consider not to be superior athletes were just blowing him out of the water. And that's just because our kids have dedicated themselves to, we're going to come in, we're going to work every day, and we're going to get better, hell or high water, to be frank. We're going to get better. We were tired of being where we were at. We're tired of being, losing 8 football games. We're going to get better, and we're going to make it happen through our will.
That's awesome. One of the things that really sticks out to me is how much the kids have bought in to that process, and knowing, what, if we don't like where we're at, this is what we're going to do to get better. And the other thing that I pulled out of there a little bit is the intensity. And I just remember back going from maybe high school to college, the biggest thing that I saw was like not within the programming or anything, more so like the intensity that people brought, and it's another level. Like you were talking about that work capacity. And so I think that's great. You mentioned you're using Rack Performance for that. What are some of the tools and resources that you use maybe in the weight room or for yourself to optimize some training?
Yeah, sure. Well, I'm a big proponent of, two software systems, and I'd love to have both of them if I thought I've been a TeamBuildr person forever. I love TeamBuildr's site, and then Hewitt and I talk all the time, and they have a great product. If I had an iPad at each of my racks, and I don't, and so we use Rack Performance instead. I still carry the banner for TeamBuildr every time I can, because I think that the way I can build my program on their website is fantastic. Just makes a lot of sense to me. But we use Rack Performance now because that's the product we had when I got there, and our kids are used to it. And it's a great timing system to keep our kids just organized. I have upwards of 40 to 50 junior high kids in about I would say 2,000 square foot room after school every day. And we have 12 racks, and we are jam packed. There's bodies on top of bodies, but something like Rack allows me to shine it up on my two televisions that we've had mounted on the walls in our weight room. And I can put our kids in colors. Hey, you're blue, you're green, you're gray, you're yellow. Follow your color. It works counterclockwise, and it times it out. And that's the simplest way that Rack works. They have a lot of advanced ways, but it just helps our kids be organized, times it out, and it helps me manage and coach. I used to be someone who counted out every single rep in the weight room. I'd be down, unrack, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'd count every single rep all day. And so I wouldn't do as much technical coaching as I wanted to. And so now with Rack, I can put them on that, time out their reps, repetitions, their sets, and then just start that, and it'll work. And I can sit and watch and coach and do a little bit job coaching technically. So software-wise, website-wise, Rack Performance is what we use the most. Some other great tools that we have a free lap timing system. We just got it about 5 weeks ago, and it is fantastic. We use it twice a week. We time sprints every single week. We love it. It's easy to set up. We have a Just Jump mat that we just got to. We got a great grant from the Cox Communications Charities, and so for technology in the classroom. So we love using those tools to measure our kids. I'm a big believer in what gets measured gets improved, and so we like to measure it. We have lots of metrics that we use, and we post that. We follow Tony Holler's Feed the Cats philosophy of record, rank, and publish. And so on the walls of our doors to our weight room, when you walk in, you can see what your 40 time is and where you rank in your class, in the school. And we have a lot of other different ones we put up. And so I think that's been the biggest thing for our program is recording, ranking, publishing a lot of the things that we do. So the kids kids just compete against themselves and against their classmates.
Yeah, I think that's another level of just intensity and competition that kids bring to sprinting. It's really cool to see that, and we started that not too long ago either. And every time we bring out the timing system, man, kids know that they're going to be competing with their classmates, and they like it, and it's fun. So that's a cool thing from us, and just having that availability to record and rank it and publish it, and you say what you get measured matters, and it gets improved. That's awesome stuff. Would you like to go in just a little bit more to your sprint training and any of the things that you find relevant to that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the great things about us, I don't often see that our kids are that excited about their results, but our other sprint coach is a social studies teacher. And he will come down and tell me, oh, these kids all came running and tell me all their 20 times. He goes, it's so awesome, coach. And I don't get to see that because we kind of go, and they walk out of the classroom and they're gone from me. And then I'll hear later that how pumped they were. But I get to see them look at it, look at the sheet and kind of find where they're sitting at. So that's pretty exciting for me. But our speed program is still kind of a work in progress. Basically we try to work on some speed mechanics every single day. I'm a big believer. One of the guys who's been a big mentor for me is Randy Wells at Emporia High School. He's been in the business a long time, and he told me a long time ago at a clinic that, if you think something's important, you should do it every single day. And so I think linear speed is important. I kind of follow that philosophy that speed may be the answer for everything. It improves everything. And so we work mechanics or some portion of speed mechanics every day, whether it be in our warm-up, whether we stop and do some specific drills. We'll do something called banded speed developer, where we'll hook two bands together and put one on one kid, and then the other kid will hold it and sit down, and we'll do high knee marches and skips and high knees in place with that band resistance. And then we'll do other things. We get a lot of stuff from Altus, and we just have different warm-ups, different sprints, different mechanical drills that we do every week. And then on Wednesday, we have a late start day. So our classes are like 35 minutes long. We give some collaboration time with the teachers in the morning. So in that 30 minutes, I use that as our speed development day. We'll do a little battery of speed drills, and then we're going to go out and measure something. King for us, our king drill, I would say, I guess, is our 20-meter sprint. That's what we have room to run safely. And so that's what we're going to measure and run all the time is a 20-meter sprint. We'll also do flying 10s. I just figured out our front hallway. We can run the 40-yard dash in. It's just long enough. And so we try to follow through and do some sort of metric every Wednesday. And then I've started to add doing another one on Mondays as well, but that's a little bit different. That's kind of a different cycle. We use drills from the book Game Speed by Ian Jeffries. And basically I just opened up the book and I went to the first page, and it was, I believe, hip turns, how to do a correct hip turn and then sprint. And so we're teaching our kids how to turn, how to drop step, how to move lateral step correctly, and then use that and drive into linear speed or back pedal, drop step, and then sprint. So we're trying to teach them how to use it in the context of a game. And so we try to measure that sometimes, but we learned really quickly that if I teach a drop step and sprint and then I time it the very first time, the drop step looks like crap. And so we try to teach those things for a couple weeks and then time maybe the last iteration of it. So
that's interesting stuff. Sounds kind of like Lee Taft a little bit, just analyzing a lot of human movement and what might be the most efficient. And, there's going to be some things that are different per athlete depending on how their body moves and that type of stuff. But I think that being able to teach that is something that should be fundamental, and if kids haven't got that by the time they're in high school, or if it needs to be reinforced in high school and trained, that's awesome stuff. Also, I love the fact that you are timing weekly, and we got into that this semester, and very fun, very cool results. One of the questions I have for you is your flying 10s. What is your lead in? How much room are you given for that flying 10?
Well, we give about 15 meters because that's all we have. Mm-hmm. That's the distance we have. I think it's up for debate. Obviously, the more lead in you have up to a certain point, the faster your flying 10 is going to be. So I listen to a lot of stuff by Tony Holler, and I talk to him a little bit by Twitter. I've never talked to the man in person, but he's great at answering Twitter questions. And so I asked him what my lead in should be ideally. And he would say 25 meters or 25 yards, somewhere in there. That's where the body can get up to full speed. And so, we tried that, and you are a little bit faster. But where we can run ours consistently and not be in the way and not have the principal yell at me for running down the hallways on our walking track, we get about 15 meters. And so we work with it, and, does it compare to everybody else's? No, but I don't really care to compare to everybody else's. Like, there's no national championship for flying 10. So if our kids can improve each week, and they can improve their own times, then we've done our job. So
more space issues are always tough. We only time 40s in the summer, because if we try to time 40s during the school year, we'd truck somebody coming out of the classroom because we have to use a hallway, and you're right. I think my principal might come out and say, "Hey, what the heck are you guys doing? Let's get back to our space." So very good point.
We run right by our counselor's office, and he's my D-line coach. And so he'll hear us running down the hallway. So he'll step out and look around the corner and watch us run. So it's funny. We happen to be in a hallway that doesn't have a lot of traffic, so I feel pretty safe. But yeah, we typically would only run them on the turf in the summer or on the track in spikes. So that's one thing I believe in is we time 40s on the track in spikes when we want to really time it. Just we want our kids to go as fast as possible, and we want them to have a great number. And so a lot of times I'll even hand time it because that's going to get you a better number. So I want my kids to feel really good about themselves. So.
Perfect. I like that. That's good. How about some of the things that you're doing to acquire some of the funding for your department? So you talked about the grant that you got, maybe a little bit more about that and some of the other things that you're doing to make your place one of the cool places to be in the high school.
Oh yeah, sure. So I try to explore every avenue of funding, that I can, and I try to make do. And just this last week we bought some used bumper plates that are in really great shape because we need some. And so I'm always on the lookout for a deal. Number one, and number two, we've kind of established some revenue streams for our weight room. Our summer program, we charge $50. This is the first school I've ever been at that we've charged for a summer program, but allows us to hire a couple of coaches to be there consistently to help with our program during the summer. And it puts a little onus on the kids. Like, if mom and dad paid $50, they're a little more apt to make sure that junior comes up to weights every day, not to waste their money. So I thought it would drive kids away. It doesn't seem to. Our kids pay it and have no problem paying it, and they feel like they've got a little bit of investment. And so that money more than enough covers our coaches that we need to pay. And then we've been using that to build up a fund to buy some new racks and some new equipment. We want to buy new equipment. It helps pay for rack performance for us. And so that's our main revenue stream. And then we also, at one point, were selling critical reload out of our weight room. And so we were making a little bit of money on that, not a whole lot. We wanted to make it cheap enough for our kids that they would buy it and they'd use it because we want that benefit. But we also, made just a little bit of money on that so we can buy some incidentals like rubber bands, things like that don't cost very much, although it seems like everything costs a lot right now. So those are the two ways. Our PE budget for 3 PE teachers with about 300 students is $800. And so I don't even count on getting any of that money. I just try to create my own revenue streams and find my own funding. And sometimes I just go straight in the principal and say, hey, we need this. We've got to have 5 new bars. It's not safe. And I'm lucky. My principal is a former PE teacher. He understands it, although he's always after me to buy a leg curl machine. And I just refuse. I just kind of laugh that off and walk out. He's just like, we need more leg curl machines. I'm like, no, we don't need more leg curl machines. I've got another plan. So we got that. And I think one thing for everybody that's listening out there, that's one of the best advice I got was one of my former superintendents. He would buy anything that I would like for my weight room, within reason, if I had a plan. He said, Lee, if you come up with a strategic plan of what you need over the course of 5 to 10 years, and you bring that to me every year, and you can justify, hey, this is what you need, and this is where we're going, and this is what it's going to look like at the end, I will be more apt to buy those things and more prepared to buy those things. And so that's what I did. I came up with a plan. We need this many bars every few years. We need to upgrade this. We need to get some new racks. We want to buy these things. And every year I'd go into him and I'd say, this is my strategic plan. We got this thing last year. We didn't get this thing last year. And he would make it happen. And so you've got to go in with a plan to your administrators. Administrators love to see plans. They want to see that there's progress. That's not you're buying like Christmas, hey, whatever I think is cool or new at the time. And so that really worked for me. And then finally, I guess the thing you want to talk about, the grants. I'm always on the search for grants, and I got lucky. I hit the lottery this time. Cox Communications Charities here in Wichita area was giving out a $5,000 grant for technology and education. And so I considered a free lap timing system and adjusted jump mat to be technology and education. So it was a really easy grant process. Wrote it up in a day. And used some of the things that I've used before I've won about 3 or 4 USA football grants as well. And so I have a little history with those and knowing what, I guess, people who review grants want to see. And so wrote it out, submitted it, waited months and months, and finally just heard back, and they're like, hey, you won $4,600, because that's a key in grant proposals is never write it for the full 5,000. Like, always just be very exact. It's, again, planning it out. If you have a plan and you have specifics, people are more apt to say yes to you instead of just like, hey, we're going to use $5,000 for this. If you say I'm going to use I think actually ours was $4,681, and we're going to use it exactly for this. I'd like to think that helped us get the grant. So.
That's really good. That's a really good tip. Just in general, I think that's a really good point. I'm thinking, I'm writing down USA football on here too, even just all these notes of what it looked like to write grants and to find those. I think that's such a vital source, especially, like if you're saying technology in classrooms, and PE teachers, strength coaches across the nation need to be looking into that stuff, because holy cow, there is a great opportunity to be able to affect our student athletes' lives through improved technology. That's great, Coach.
Yeah, you can buy those things, and it's not a bar, it's not a glute ham roller, but it's still a pretty valuable tool. That free lap system will make our kids more athletic than 2 bars. So it's well worth it. And that's just some valuable experience. I think one of the things that helped me write a grant was I volunteered to be a reviewer of the Carol M. White PEP grants back when PE teachers could get up to $250,000 grants for PE equipment, and I wanted to write one. So I thought the easiest way to learn how to write one is to volunteer to be a peer reviewer, and that's what's helped me write a lot of grants. They've long since done away with that program, but that helped me understand what people are looking for, the criteria they're looking for in grants. And so, sometimes volunteering your time to be a reviewer of grants is a fantastic opportunity to learn what you need to do to write a grant, because it's pretty competitive. Everybody's looking for free money. So.
Yeah. Heck yeah. I think some people get hired to write grants for people. I mean, that's
a lucrative job.
That's an interesting deal. Yeah. So we've talked a little bit about your programming methodologies for speed and kind of what you're doing weekly with that. What's it look like for your strength program? How are you implementing?
I'd love to say over 19 years, like I've had it figured out what I'm supposed to be doing over 19 years. And I don't. I'm probably a little embarrassed of what I used to do, but you can only coach as well as what you know. Like, you only coach what you know. And so what I knew is what my college football coaches taught me, and what I learned in my PE classes at college, which were taught by my college football coaches. And so I did what I knew best. I had no idea how to organize or how to do things, whether I should be into an upper body, lower body day or chest day. And just so I've always been interested in strength and conditioning, so I've always been just kind of a lifelong learner. So I just have always tried to learn a little bit more. And so the more I've learned, the better I've got. I think you'd throw me off the podcast for saying this, but my goal at one point in my career was to, over the course of 4 years with a kid, that they never do the same workout. And that's kind of silly as I think about it and I say it out loud. Like that was my goal. Like, they're going to come in and we're going to be fresh and we're going to do something new and exciting every day. And we're going to do different workouts. And we might do the same list, but we're going to do different sets and different reps. And we're just going to keep it fresh. And we're just going to continually, and we saw progress with the kids. And, I think maybe they got better in spite of me sometimes. They were getting good because they were putting in work. And like, even though I probably didn't know what I was doing, and just building relationships with other coaches and learning what they do has helped me develop something that is a little bit more scientifically grounded and definitely a lot more effective. I think we've hit a sweet spot in what we do. It works for our kids. I guess if you wanted to categorize it by maybe what terms that people are used to, we do the tier system. And so the tier system is just a kind of, I consider it a way to categorize your lifts, and written by Joe Ken. And coincidentally, Joe Ken, his college teammate and offensive lineman at Wake Forest, is our counselor and my defensive line coach. And they really they hadn't talked to each other since I or until I came 30 years later to Rose Hill High School, and I said, "Hey, do you know Joe Ken?" And he's like, "Yeah, I do." And so it's really interesting. But that's how we categorize our lists. But we program our lists using Soviet periodization from the book The System. So basically, what we're doing is we're programming on volume, not so much weight or intensity. And so we have a monthly volume. So we're trying to hit 1,000 repetitions within a month of on our core lifts, our heavy lifts. I'm pulling it up here so I can kind of give you an idea of what we're doing. So we have a big 7 lifts that we're trying to hit 1,000 reps on within the month. And so that's for us: squat, any version of power clean or hang clean, any upper body press, any upper body pull, jerk, snatch, and anything posterior chain. And so of those big 7 lifts, whatever variation we use, we're trying to hit 1,000 reps, and that's pretty aggressive. We backed it off to 900. We're trying to hit 900 repetitions throughout that month. And so then we use if you're familiar with Soviet periodization, use an undulating cycle. And so in our first week, we're going to do 32% of those 1,000 reps. So we're talking, I'm looking at my 900 sheet right now. So we're going to do 288 total reps of those big 7, and we're going to divide it out. So I have an Excel sheet, and so I have it rigged up that on Monday, our lower body tier 1 lift is squat. And so we need to do 27% of our volume on Monday. And so that means I need to have our kids do 26 squat. And then I choose the rep and set pattern. That's where I give myself a little freedom. Some cycles we're doing all 3 sets. So every set and repetition pattern that we're using is a certain, I guess we're going to say it's 3 sets of whatever repetitions are required. So if we needed 18 reps, we're going to do 3 sets of 6. And then we have the cycle that's worked best for us is we pyramid. So if I have 18 reps, I'm going to come up with a short pyramid to use that within. But we're still always training on volume. And so it's a large kind of convoluted, detailed, confusing sheet that people want me to send to them all the time, and you kind of just got to sit and walk through it. But programming on volume and reading the book The System has been just life-changing. It's been, our kids have just blown up because of it. They've gotten stronger than any kids I've ever had, quicker than I've ever had. So that's awesome.
Yeah, go on. Sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead. We're having a conversation, so go ahead. I feel like I'm doing all the talking.
No, you're good. My strength coach in college, Joe Quinlan, he talks to Johnny Parker a decent amount now, and he's trying to explain the system to me without me reading the book. So it's kind of like you're going through this right now, and I'm trying to conceptualize it, and I'm just thinking, it might be time for me to read the book. But it sounds like a very, very interesting way to go about it, and it makes sense. Obviously, it's research-based, and there's a reason why people are doing it if you're getting the results that you're getting. So awesome stuff with that, Coach. It's something that spurs me on and wants me to learn. I want to learn more about it.
Oh, absolutely. I thought I would not like it. Like, it's like, I don't want to learn what the Russians did, the Soviets did. And then I started reading through. I was like, okay, all these NFL guys went to these Soviet guys because they're getting people as strong as humanly possible. And it worked. And I'm like, okay, if it works. And then I started reading about the undulating pattern that they use. And you really just got to read the book. And once you read the book and you start thinking about it, you kind of look like Alan in The Hangover. You've got all these equations over you while you're playing blackjack. Like, that's what it looks like. And you're just like, oh yeah, you're pulling this down and this down. And, I'm kind of an Excel nerd. And so I've got like this giant Excel sheet, and like I plug in like 900 reps and it just boom, populates everything for me. And I'm like, oh, then I start going through and like, okay, 26 reps. I've got to split that out in 4 sets. So we're going to do 4 sets of 6 and then 1 set of 8 or something like that. And it has really helped guide me to be better, because honestly, I was just kind of doing it like numerically, like kind of like Bigger, Faster, Stronger did. And Bigger, Faster, Stronger is fantastic. I think it's one of the best programs of all time because it got people really excited about weightlifting and made a lot of gains. But that follows like a pattern, like 3 sets of 10, then 3 sets of 8, then 3 sets of 6. Nice, simple, and clean, right? And the human body isn't really nice, simple, and clean. And so it needs some variation. And I think this is where using this undulating pattern gives you some variation, and you build a little volume and you go away, and it builds that super compensation and that GAS response that you want to build from our kids. So we've had a lot of luck with it. It could be maybe our kids just hadn't trained very hard and all of a sudden started working, and they're getting better in spite of it, but it seems to be having great results for us. So
sweet stuff, Coach. And you know, the long term will tell, but that's awesome that you're having the results that you are right now. And you know, like I said before, it gets me excited to learn. Actually, my next question that I'm going to ask you is, what are you excited to learn about right now? You know, you're doing a lot of speed work. You've learned about the system. What's the next thing that you want to know more about?
Well, you know, I just finished last night at 11:30 p.m. I just finished the Professional Strength Coaches Association's Injury Resilience and Performance course. If you go,
I'm taking that right now. That's awesome.
Oh yeah, you know, it's fantastic. But you only got 3 days to take it, right? So you're just like, I'm like cramming it in. And I have a couple kids with ACL injuries and a kid with a shoulder problem, and I've just got a couple kids that are dinged up, and I'm just like, that's for every year I try to find one topic and just really take a deep dive into it. I find one topic in football, and I find one topic in strength and conditioning, and so recovery was my deep dive a few years ago, and I learned everything you could about recovery, and just tried to figure out different ways to help my guys recover and respond faster. And, you know, then the Soviet periodization was my last deep dive. And now I think it's going to be injury resilience and trying to develop some things for my kids to have a plan B, I guess. And that's one thing I learned in that course is, you know, what's our plan? Our plan A is what we plan on lifting that day. So we're doing squats and we're doing clamshells and we're doing all these things. And I've got a kid with a back injury. Okay, I need to have him work. What's his plan B? And I haven't been very good at plan B all the time. I've been like, go over and do some lat pulls. And I want to have a better plan B for my kids. And so that's where my deep dive is. Okay, so what does this kid need to be doing instead of these lifts if that lift's going to cause him pain? You know, I've got to have him do something. One, I've got to treat the injury. I've got to help him regain some ability to perform. And then how can I make that stronger and make it a strength? And then also get the same work that he needs to keep the level. He or she needs to keep the same level of performance they had before they were injured. And so, yeah, that injury resilience course is fantastic. Like Dr. Stuart McGill is like, he's unbelievable. And like,
he's another level.
He's so fantastic. Like today in my class, just what for watching it last night, we went through and we did the handshake example. So he gives an example of a handshake, like a handshake test and mindful training. And so he has a guy come up and he's like, okay, we're going to tell you a joke and I want you to smile and laugh when you shake your hand, shake my hand and try to clamp down on it. And the guy does. And then he has, I don't remember who the other coach is with him, come up and give him the handshake. And that dude like locks in, he's trying to spread the floor with his feet. He locks in, he clenches his other fist, he just clamps down on Dr. McGill's hand. And he's like, do you see the difference here? Like I used it with my kids. He had a vision of murder in his mind. Like he is going to attack this situation and this task. And so that's what we talked about just with my kids today, about being mindful, attacking the task, and locking our core and being Dr. McGill talks about being a stone. And in fact, we do, this is one of the coolest things I think we do. We do kind of some daily maintenance every day when we start our workout. And I call it like I tell our kids it's like brushing their teeth. Like every day morning you get up and brush your teeth, right? And just some daily maintenance of your own body. And so our maintenance in the weight room, we call 1-inch wall squats. And so we stand 1 inch away from the wall, toes and nose 1 inch away from the wall. We get our toes spread or get our feet spread and our hips spread out and work on squat patterns. And we do it every day. We just do 3 sets of 5, just kind of get opened up and work our squat pattern. And then we also do the same thing with some PVC pipes when our power cleans. Well, we've now moved, we've been doing that for a year and felt like it's really done really well for our kids, but they're getting a little bored with it. I'm getting a little bored with it. So we're going to start doing Dr. McGill's Big Three, which is the modified curl up and the bird dog and the side plank. And we're going to do 3 sets of 10 of isometric holds. And he's got me convinced that might be the next game changer for our kids, just from what I've watched from him.
Yes. Squat University hits on those like multiple times throughout the year of hitting the McGill Big Three. And I think there is so much value in that. I started programming those as far as we don't do like a whole lot of core training, but we'll do just a little bit daily. Nothing like sit-ups and like ab circuits or anything like that, but more so just like a superset with something. And those are my go-to core activation stuff.
Oh, yeah. See, we were doing it, and it wasn't until I listened to Dr. McGill speak that I realized, like, he tells you can't do it 3 times a week. You need to do this every single day. It's like you need to do these Big Three every single day. And the kicker for me is one of my assistant coaches has a really bad back problem, and he's the one that actually kind of introduced me to Dr. McGill and kind of talked about the back mechanic. He found this book, and he started doing these, and he went from not being able to get out of bed to now he deadlifts. He's 65 years old and deadlifts like 500 pounds. Like
oh my gosh,
he's a beast. Coach Byers is a beast, number one. But he said it solved his back problem. He said he doesn't have a back problem anymore just by doing these for like 6 weeks in a row every single day. And it's maybe 3 to 4 minutes of his time. So I thought that was fantastic. And Dr. McGill in that course talks about Muay Thai fighters and how they measured them and measured the force of their punches, and then had them do this program where they did McGill's Big Three for 6 weeks straight, and they came back and measured their punches again, and they were just significantly more powerful. And so that sold me. I'm like, okay, if Muay Thai fighters that are training to fight, that's their job, they're going to get stronger doing this, then this little exercise, then our kids can probably do this little exercise and get a lot of benefit from it. So we're going to try it out and see how it works. I don't think it can't hurt our kids. That's the biggest thing for me. If we can do it and it's not going to hurt our kids and we try it out, then we're going to try it out.
So that's great stuff, Coach. I'm excited to finish out that course. The big thing for me is just trying to find the time. And I guess it sounds like it has to be in the evenings, like what you're doing. I'll probably do early mornings and try to get the rest of that knocked out. Very, very good so far, what I've watched. So if people want to reach out and learn a little bit more about that, it's a free course, but you only have access for 3 days. And I think it's the Professional Football Coaches Association or something like that they're doing this injury resilience or resistance stuff, and very, very cool stuff. So, Coach, we're kind of coming to the end here, and I've got some finisher questions lined up for you. The first question I have for you is, what is your favorite book?
Well, I am just I'm not even a book reader. I'm like a book consumer. And so, like, sometimes when you ask me my favorite book, it's just like, what ones I can remember of the hundreds I've read. And so I have a list for you. I knew this question was coming. I guess one thing I always like to do, like, I can't just be on all the time. Like, I can't be just on strength or on football all the time. Sometimes I just got to get away from it sometimes. And so maybe some of your listeners won't appreciate that, but I'm a science fiction fan. So my favorite book of all time is A Time for the Stars by Robert Heinlein. And so he's a fantastic science fiction writer. And sometimes I got to read those things just kind of clear my mind. And it's a fantastic book. But when we talk about like motivation and strength books, I've got one of the best motivational stories I have it's from the Bible, but it's Mark Batterson wrote the book In the Pit with a Lion on a Snowy Day. Fantastic book. Gain Speed by Ian Jeffries is my go-to for how we train our kids to move correctly. The System we've talked about at length. One of my favorite books by Al Miller, Johnny Parker, Rob Panarello. Culture Code by Daniel Coyle. And I've got David and Goliath by Malcolm Gladwell just sitting right here behind me. Those are some of my favorite books. And, if you're a football coach, The Perfect Pass and Modern Belly T Football are my two go-to football books. So,
just in general, that's an awesome list. I'm going to have to check out this A Time for the Stars. Is that what you said? The very first one there, the science fiction one?
Yeah, it's written in 1956. It is a fantastic science fiction novel. It's about communicating between spaceships going to other solar systems to repopulate, and the Earth is dying, like in every science fiction. The Earth is dying, so they're going to repopulate another galaxy, and the only way they can communicate is telepathically through twins. And so they send the twins off, and then the twins can telepathically communicate with the progeny on Earth. So when the one twin has like a granddaughter, they can still talk to the twin telepathically. It's far-fetched, but it's fantastic. So it's pretty good. I like it. I mean,
that's
15-year-old
good.
me loved it, and I reread it as a 30-year-old. So
I tell you what, I totally agree with you, man. I think there's a time that you need to step back from a sport or from strength and speed or whatever you got going on and just refresh a little bit. So definitely like to mix in just different books. Very cool. How about a person that's influenced you the most? And that could be in strength and conditioning, or that could be within life.
Yeah, in life, I think the people that have influenced me the most are my parents. They set me on the right path. I don't know that, you'd say this is a blessing or curse. I guess I'm going to say I was blessed to be born to some parents who really had no idea about sports. And so I didn't get the pressure that kids get today. My parents just knew if I tried harder or I didn't. They know what effort looked like. And so that's all they ever concerned themselves with me. As long as I was trying hard and having fun, enjoying myself. And so I had a great sports experience, and that kind of led me on the path to enjoy sports. I cringe when I see these people that are training their kids. They're like 8 years old, taking them to tournaments every Saturday. And so, that kind of brings me to the next person that's really influenced my life, my own son. I became a better coach when I became a father. I'm 42 years old. I'm going to turn 42 in June, and I have a 3-year-old and a 5-month-old. And it's been life-changing for me because I've learned now what it's like to be on the other side and to be dealing with somebody's precious jewel every single day. And so those people have changed my life the most. When I talk about, I guess, people in my career, my offensive line coach in college, Bob Larson, has always been the person I've aspired to be. He cared about us. He was kind. He was a great coach. I've only heard the man curse once in my life, and I was shocked completely when I did hear it. He loved me like a son, and he's the next thing I know to a father. And I only played for the guy for 2 years in junior college, and I still talk to him and talk to him on Facebook and call him every once in a while. Some of my mentors as a football coach and a strength coach, Bruce Graber, Gene Flax, Myron Flax, Randy Wells, awesome coaches here in high school. And my cooperating teacher, God rest his soul, Sean Cook, who was my first mentor as a PE teacher, passed away tragically when he was 36. He taught me a lot about just how I should be a PE teacher, how I should do things, and just be a teacher in general. And he was a great friend of mine, and the world lost a great coach and a great person when he passed away. And finally, lately I've been really influenced by Tony Holler. His Feed the Cats philosophy has just reinvigorated my career. And we were the slowest football team in the state of Kansas, I swear, last year. And we are now competitive because I listened to some of the things he did and I employed them, and it helped my kids.
That's a long list of people, and that's awesome to see, how many people it takes for somebody to get to the point where they're at today. And I think that's just awesome stuff, Coach. One of the things I wanted to do is, and I kind of messed up here, is I wanted to ask you how you got to be, making the big time where you're at. And that's the namesake of the show. Try to ask it as much as we can. And I just wanted to ask you that right now during our finisher questions. What are you doing to make the big time?
Well, I think, and I've read the book, Making the Big Time Where You're At by Frosty Westerling. It's just a fantastic book. It's really hard to find. And it really clued me into, I need to be present, and I need to be, our basketball coach at Rose Hill says this all the time, be where your feet are. And I think it's so vitally important is I want to be in the present. I want to do the best job I can at Rose Hill High School, and I want to put them on the map. And so I'm going to do that by being as professional as I can and being as energetic as I can and treating every single day. We say in our football program that every one of our games is a Super Bowl. We're going to prepare for it like it is the Super Bowl. We're going to plan to play with it, playing it like it's the Super Bowl. And so that means every training session that we have in our weight room, like we're preparing champions. We're going to prepare to do great things every single day, every second of every single day. We're not going to waste a minute. We're not going to waste any time. And so we attack that day with enthusiasm and energy. And, am I this energetic and enthusiastic every single day? No, I'm a human being, but I try to be the best I can every day because it's really not about where you are. It's about who you are and who you're around and whether you're making an impact on the kids. Because I think I was at a place where I arguably had the best weight room in the state of Kansas. It was brand new. We helped build it at Wamego High School, and I wasn't happy. And I wasn't making the impact I wanted to make. And so we made a move. And now I'm at a place where, I'm impacting kids and they're responding to me, and I'm enjoying every single day. And I love going to work, and I love hanging out with my kids, and I kind of miss them over the breaks. When, most people don't miss them over Thanksgiving, Christmas break. I kind of miss the kids. I want to see them. And so for me, that's the big time. The big time is when you can enjoy where you're at, and you can enjoy going to work every single day, because not everybody enjoys their job. And if I can enjoy my job and I can help other people enjoy going to school, because a lot of kids don't enjoy going to school anymore. If you can make the day fun and exciting and productive for the kids, I think that's making it. That's being big time.
No doubt. I love that. That gets me going, Coach. And I don't know, the quote that you had in there, be where your feet are. You said your basketball coach talks about that a little bit. I mean, like that's an awesome quote, and one of the things that I'm going to write down right on my desk in front of me, because it is so powerful to know that you're placed in where you are for a reason, and to not take up your purpose and chase what's right in front of you. That's really tough, and that's not. I don't think that's us being a good steward of what we've been given. So very, very awesome, Coach, that you're doing that.
Yeah, this is so true that God has a plan, and we've just got to trust it. Like, we've got to trust that that's the plan. Like, 15 years ago, I couldn't understand why I was leaving Plainville High School, and a year later, I met my wife, and now I've got 2 great children. And so now I look back and I go, well, that's exactly what needed to happen. I needed to move to Mission Valley so I could meet my wife, and so God knew that, and that's where He put me. And so, I think if you accept that and you trust that, then you're in the big time. Like, if you're right where God wants you to be, you're right where your feet are, and you're present every day.
That's one of the best responses I've had on the show so far, Coach. And I do think that that is the big time. Exactly. How about another person? How about another coach who's killing it and deserves a shout out?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I have a good list of these guys too. A couple guys here in Kansas, I think, are doing a really good job that most people do not know a lot about. Mark Coles in Ness City. It's a really small school. It's about 100 kids, but he is killing it. He does a great job. He's always trying to learn. I see him at every clinic. Like, I've seen him at the National High School Strength Coaches Association National Convention twice. He'll drive all the way from Kansas. I'm flying. Because I don't want to spend 10 hours in a car. He's driving there with some of our other coaches. So he's killing it. Myron Flax at St. Mary's is one of my mentors. He's always done a fantastic job in the weight room. And, he's humble enough. He's asking me for advice. And I just feel like, Coach, I don't know what you know. I should be asking you. So he's killing it. Jeff Brule in Dodge City. Fantastic coach, doing a great job, setting up a huge, giant clinic. I don't know if people know this. We have some really great strength coaches that come from the state of Kansas, like Zach Deckant, who does TCU's strength program that's all the rage with Movement Matters. His book, he is from Kansas, from very rural western Kansas, close to where I'm from. And so he's going to come in. He was going to come in and speak. I think he has some scheduling conflicts, but he's got a great clinic going out there, and he does a fantastic job. And then one of my Twitter friends, we've never met in person. We're going to meet in a couple of weeks. He's going to come down for a Tony Holler Feed the Cat seminar. But he's helped me out so much. Joe Stokowski from Pepperell High School in Georgia. His hashtag's Faster Dragons. And I've learned so much from him, kind of conversing back and forth about, speed stuff and what you do and things he puts out on Twitter. I think he's killing it. He's doing a great job. He's a young coach, and I'm excited to be able to meet him and kind of collaborate with him when he comes to this Feed the Cat seminar in Kansas.
That's quite the list, Coach, and I'm going to have to reach out to these people. One of the fun parts is the list keeps on growing, and it gives us the opportunity to learn from more people. So that's awesome. Thank you so much for that, and then thank you for making the big time where you're at. That's not only a cool thing for me, but obviously for your student athletes. So awesome work. Coach, thank you for coming on. Thank you for all the time that you put into this. Hopefully at some point soon our paths meet. I'll actually introduce myself this time instead of just listen to your presentation. And
I appreciate you listening. You could have.
Definitely think that what you're doing is top of the line, and very thankful that you shared all that information with us. So thanks again, Coach.
Hey, thanks for having me on. Hopefully it doesn't sound like rants of a strength and conditioning madman. I feel like I've just talked endlessly and just been ranting and raving and going back and forth and hardly ever stopping to take a breath. So hopefully everybody can get something out of this. And I enjoy learning from everybody else. So it's been a great podcast to listen to.
I appreciate that. Thanks, Coach. You have a great night.
You too. Thank you, Coach.
It was great to have Coach on. If you'd like to reach out to Coach and get more information, you can follow him on Twitter at Coach Law71. That's Coach LAW 71, or his email at lweber@usd394.com. That will also be in the show notes.